Good afternoon. Happy Saturday to everybody. It's Daryl here. It is 4 p.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. It's a rare Saturday afternoon video. I want to talk about this conspiracy theory that's gaining some traction. I can't mention the specific name because of advertising. It's a letter of the alphabet. It's an anonymous letter of the alphabet. All right, so we're all on the same page. Now, I'm going to have a link below because this is a big story here in Connecticut, in a town very close to here. The state senator is catching a lot of flack because he has a bumper sticker. Well, actually, the sticker, I believe, is on his window, his rear window, but it says W1W, where one goes, yada, yada, yada. It has to do with this conspiracy theory. So there's a lot of concerned people in this state, in this area, especially that are asking this Eric Berthal, Republican senator from Watertown, Connecticut. Like I said, the link will be down below, one of the stories about it. And a lot of people are concerned and want some answers from this senator. What's up? He had some excuse. You guys could read this. As soon as I hear Trump supporters start with the excuses, he supports this but not that. It reminds me so much of the Trump supporters and when Trump made mock the reporter. All Trump supporters now say, "Well, I don't agree with that. That's this," you know, they make excuses for it. Same thing here. That's exactly what my mind went to when I was reading what this state senator was making excuses. Well, I don't agree with that, but I agree with this. And, you know, just the Trump supporter trying to squirm out of the unsavory, most of the unsavory parts of Trumpism. Okay. So I've been researching on McCarthyism, late 40s, early 50s, the second Red Scare. I want to talk about that in another video. I'm going to be honest with you guys, I didn't know there was a first Red Scare. Be truthful there. So many similarities between what went on then. Communism was the big fear, the big taboo, the big, you know, it was what panicked Americans back then. Now it's what this conspiracy is talking. This present conspiracy theory is got some of the most hideous taboo nonsense that I've ever heard. And the thing I noticed about these conspiracy theories, the one McCarthyism and the present day one, is that they pick the most disgusting, the most appalling thing they could think of. So that anybody that questions this conspiracy theory, anybody that says, hey, wait a minute, this is ridiculous, this doesn't make sense, this is insane, they pick something like communism back then, or what this conspiracy theory talks about now, and the country is in such an uproar, it's such an appalling subject that it's designed so that anybody that questions it, people say, well, what, you're not against, what, you're not, like back then, it would be, what, you're not against communism? What are you a communist? Do you have something to hide? And it's the same thing with this present day theory. It's designed like that. They pick the most disgusting thing that nobody would ever want to be thought of having anything to do with. So that when any sane people start to question it, like, this doesn't make sense. Well then, what do you mean? Surely you want to keep the children safe. Doesn't everybody want to keep the children safe? Because that's what you see, all these signs now. Keep the children safe. And a lot of them don't mention the conspiracy theory because, of course, everybody wants to keep the children safe. Just like back then. You know, of course, communism is terrible. We're bad communists. And it's the same thing. Any sane, when anybody starts to do critical thinking, any logic that comes into it, they're looked on with suspicion. That's part of this whole thing. Coercion. And then how it was tied into the Hollywood elites back then, or now they call it the Hollywood elites. I don't believe in. The thing I find the most ridiculous is that we have a president, one of the richest people in the world, a billionaire, real estate developer from New York City, where the real estate is the most expensive, some of the most expensive real estate in the world, besides for probably Tokyo, but with gold toilets. And he's accusing other people, and his supporters are accusing people, actors, of being the elite. The guy with the gold toilets, the guy with 17 golf courses, and on and on and on. His supporters are accusing everybody else of being elite. That, it doesn't make sense. All right, but I was looking at the similarities. This is what I started thinking. All right, Joe McCarthy. I noticed Joe McCarthy and Trump have a lot in common. Neither one are very intelligent. They both use the same bullying, the same scare tactics, coercion, manipulation. If you look into Joe McCarthy at all, you see such a similarity between Donald Trump and Joe McCarthy. The interesting thing is McCarthy never rose higher than senator. I think more than likely he died sometime in the 50s from alcoholism, if I'm not mistaken. So he didn't rise to the level of this present-day nightmare of Donald Trump. Now, I started thinking, too, what if Trump, God forbid, had a second term? And we see this conspiracy theory start to gain traction. Because I've been wondering when Trump no longer has to really answer to the voters, because he'll have done his 2 terms. And with his mindset of always winning, what is he going to focus that on? And how his base is all going into this conspiracy theory. What if he focused on that? What if he picked a senator to start some new committee similar to the investigation of anti-American activities or something like that from the years of McCarthyism? What if that's where this country was headed? What if we were headed for hearings where people were subpoenaed, actors, Tom Hanks, I don't know. I'm not familiar with this present-day conspiracy theory, but nothing would surprise me at this point, because, and in Trump, this would be perfect for Trump, because he would be able to focus on all of his enemies. And we're bringing a little Nixon into the mix there too, with a list of enemies. But it would be a way for him to take out his enemies. And he's already started talking about Supreme Court picks having control over the judiciary. And I could almost see something like this coming about if he won re-election, where we would have some kind of committee that would start subpoenaing people who are anarchists or subversive. Anybody tied into Black Lives Matter. Because it's all about law and order. And I've been doing a lot of thinking about this, and I don't want to start a bunch of fears myself, but it almost started to look like a logical progression when I looked at McCarthyism and what could happen if Trump got reelected. It is perfectly within his modus operandi, his MO, to do something like that, to move to that. To move one up another level towards authoritarianism. Not that we're already pretty far there, but can you imagine that? Can you imagine if Trump and a few select senators, I could think of a few, that he would pick for a committee to look into these this conspiracy theory, this letter of the alphabet, people tied into it. Subversives, and you could combine everything all in together. His dark shadow theory, his anarchists, his law and order, and the conspiracy theory, that letter of the alphabet. And that's stuff that truly frightens me. I could see something like that coming about, especially with the senator right next door in the town next door being a supporter, having this bumper sticker on his car. And he's not the only lawmaker now, from what I've been reading, that's getting tied into this. Also, I was starting to read something about Pence and this conspiracy theory, something about a rally or a meeting with Pence and this new conspiracy theory, letter of the alphabet. So it's just some troubling thoughts if Trump were to win re-election. All right, I'll be back with more on this. You guys have a good Saturday.